Hello my lovelies. So in my last video I spoke about our personal winter and spoke a little of my own personal winter and that emergence from winter to spring, and how we slowly, kindly, attentively allow that emergence to happen. One of the important things within our winter, I found essential points in our winter and continuous, to ensure that we do not re-traumatize our body, because in our winter we are usually attending to meeting some kind of trauma, so that as we meet and deeply listen to that trauma, then we have that spaciousness from that listening, from that being heard, to move beyond that. So it's not like we have this trauma and we come up against it, and yes, I've had some counselling sessions, and yes, I've been listened to, and yes, I feel heard. Okay, that's done, that's dealt with. It's more of a, there's the trauma that's being met. That's what needs to be heard. That's what needs to be listened to. That's what needs to be held. That's what needs to be loved within me, so I can grow from this. I can grow beyond this. So safe environments are essential, and we can easily make our homes our self environment by, closing the curtains and locking the door, and not allowing people into our safe environment of our home. But our body needs to be our personal safe environment, because we want to withdraw in our winter, in our attendance to trauma, or in our being in a transition. There is a withdrawing in. So this environment, our bones and skin, our flesh, is our environment, and this is what our nervous system, our psyche, all the separate parts, or the parts of us that have splintered, this is where it's coming back to the body. So it's about creating the body as our safe environment. So how do we do that? I mean, self-care and body love are so terms that are flashed around the world, and I'm talking bigger than having a nice bath and putting some candles around the bath, and sitting in front of the TV with, a bowl of popcorn or a box of chocolates. It has to be more than that. It's how, if we think about how we gently care, hopefully gently care and are tender with our newborn, our young. So it's really listening to the body, which we do with a newborn. So things like, yes, having a bath, but always I'm coming back to how do we touch ourselves. So how are we touching ourselves? Where in our body feels untouchable? Taking time daily for self-caress. That's more radical than having a bath. Maybe you have a bath first. The radical is then the listening, and okay, when I'm touching myself around my solar plexus, or around my breast or chest, or up here around the back of my neck, there is something. And just being with that and holding that space, and it may be that it unwinds and unravels and there's a sigh, or it may be that you hold your chest or your belly and an emotion arises. So this is making our body as an environment safe, because we're listening to the body and all its held traumas, emotions, feelings, suppressed that we haven't suppressed, or a suppressed la that we haven't suppressed. So caress enables us to do that because there's a dropping down, but it also supports us in knowing where in our body we're not feeling at ease, where in our body we're not feeling safe. From that space here, another way of listening to our body, again, I briefly touched this on the last video, is expression. To be able to hear ourselves, to be able to listen to ourselves. We deeply desire other people to touch us, other people to listen to us, other people to truly hear us. But it starts with ourselves. Can we hear ourselves? So every morning, and I've done this for years, but particularly in the last couple of months of wintering, I've been in my bed with my pen and paper for hours, and I may go down and get a cup of tea, and then I'll be doing something else around the house, and then the need to speak again is there, just with pen and paper. Other times where I haven't been able, there's something in me that I'm feeling that I want to express, like that well of tears that just won't come, or the anger that I'm not quite sure what it is, where it fits, what's this about. I've used paint, or I've used clay, some kind of medium, and while we're working with the hands through pen, clay, paint, we find that there's almost like a digestion going on, and we start to understand more of what this is, and also we are moving it. So the next way of creating a safe environment is moving. Often we can sit. We will be in our tears, which is fine, which is good, to be in our tears, to be in our anger, to be in our grief, to be in our sorrow, but also moving. When we find that we're becoming our heads in it, and that it's consuming our minds, eating away our minds, then just to put on something and go for a walk. I mean, I was walking in the dark because there's still this not wanting to be seen, not quite ready to engage with the world. So go for long walks in the dark, and that was like coming back, and there was, it moved, it digested. Or you may want to dance that off, or you may want to, drum that off, but some way of moving the body. What this is creating a language. It's creating with the language of the body that we understand. So you start to really, truly know what you need, what you want, what you desire within this safe environment of your body. The body doesn't feel awkward or estranged from you, or something that is a function, functionally moving, functionally touching ourselves in the shower, functionally going for a walk, functionally eating. It's more, what do I really need right now? And what does my body really want to say right now? So, just to recap, that's holding ourselves in some way by some kind of caress, some kind of holding, some kind of being with. Another wonderful thing I did was wrap something around my hips, my sacrum, to feel like this part of me has been hugged, because I could feel a lot of stuff going on in my belly. So this place of me being held and hugged, and knowing that was me doing the holding, that was me doing the embracing, that was me showing up kindly for myself. We can't show up for others if we can't show up for ourselves. It's such a big thing, that we need to do this, we need to do that, and blah blah needs this, and blah blah needs that, but we're not really there for those people or the world if we can't even listen to our own needs, and giving ourselves permission to attend to those. And also, rather than waiting for someone else to rescue us, is a sense of self-agency in being able to support oneself with tender, honourable, devotional touch that doesn't have an agenda. That's so important. Like, our touch can have an agenda to, to wash, or an agenda to masturbate, but just a touch. Second one was express, how we express ourselves. How can we create this communication with ourselves? How can you communicate with yourself? How are you going to paint? Can you use clay? Do you love writing? And this constant showing up every day to hear oneself. In the beginning, it may be very surface stuff, but you'll find as you write or you paint or you move through the clay, through the surface drudge of the day, like I need to do in the to-do list, and he's pissed me off, and she did that yesterday, and he fucked me off last week. It's more, you find that under the surface you get to the other stuff. You get to the stuff that really matters. And this is what this is about. It's about exploring within ourselves what is of value to you, what truly matters to you, rather than what out there has said is of value, rather than what out there says should matter. We are finding out what is of value and really matters to who we are, and how therefore we are not functioning in the world. We are alive in the world with a real sense of not just belonging but wanting to be there, rather than a having to be out in the world. We want to. There's a real, I want to be there with those people in that place, sharing who I am, rather than this emptiness. And the other one was movement. So how do you love to move? For me, it is, I love going for long walks. And if it meant at that time, because I wasn't quite ready to be in daylight and around, because nature's got very busy during the whole lockdown thing, pandemic thing, nature's got very busy. Nature's like the shopping centre these days. I was waiting until there's that time where the daylight fades into darkness, so it wasn't quite pitch black, but there's less people out, and I was getting that air. So how you make your body your safe environment comes from your own listening, through touch and through expression and through movement, and you may find that something else evolves. And also, what also makes our body safe is by self-trust. The most important person to trust in the world is yourself. So knowing that that's how you're feeling and what's manageable for you today, and if that isn't, so not forcing ourselves into yoga, not forcing ourselves into dance, not forcing ourselves out for dinner. This starts to make, okay, I'm actually safe with myself because I'm really, really listening. That's what I think I should do, and that's where I think I should be. But this is truly right now what I need and where I want to be. So we create our body as a safe environment the more and more and more we listen to what is true to ourselves.